Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It was spring 2001. I was still at primary school, and the National Farmers Union was introducing a policy to encourage all farmers to invite classes of children round farms to give them a taste of farm life and where food comes from. I asked Dad which class from our school we would invite first. He said he just wanted one person at a time. Rather than giving a class of 30 a taste, we'll give one person the full brainwash. I had just the person in mind. Melissa Matthewson. Melissa was a vegetarian. 11 years old, her favourite TV programmes were Pet Rescue, Animal Hospital and Vets in Practice. Her ambition to be a vet. She was of the opinion that all animals lived a long and trouble-free life and died peacefully of old age. She'd had little contact with sheep. As school finished on that fateful day, I walked into the school car park with Melissa. She said, "There's a tramp next to an old banger, waving at you." It was Dad, next to our Land Rover. There were strict instructions about picking me up in that Land Rover. It should be parked at least a quarter of a mile from the school gates, in a camouflage location, and preferably downwind. So we jumped in the Land Rover and headed straight for home, and I immediately took Melissa into the lambing shed. Her eyes lit up. This is farming at the sharp end. Dad was just struggling pulling a big single lamb out of a ewe. Once the lamb was out, he followed the usual policy. First, he stood back and admired the size of the lamb for about half a second. Then he wondered why it wasn't breathing. So he gently massaged the lamb to try and stimulate it. I then saw Dad's panic-stricken face, which told me the lamb still wasn't breathing. So he went into what paramedics would call emergency CPR, the technical term for sticking a piece of straw up a lamb's nose. And despite the lambing shed being full of straw, there's never a piece of straw the right size. So the next stage in CPR is to swing the lamb round very quickly by its back legs. Unfortunately, once it reached what must have been 140 RPM, it slipped out of my dad's hand. Now, I can't say whether it was the flying through the air, the impact of the lambing shed wall, or the cold water as it plunged into the water trough, but it coughed, spluttered, gave a loud blot and got going. And as my dad passed Melissa, he said, "And that, Melissa Matthewson, is how to revive a lamb." We finished off the afternoon by having tea with Mum's special vegetarian sausages containing her secret ingredient, pork, which Melissa just couldn't stop eating. In fact, she even wanted the recipe. So after this day, we decided to stick to the traditional method and invite classes round. And we had the last class round at lambing time, and my dad was just lambing a big single ewe lamb coming backwards, a very, very difficult presentation. He wasn't making much headway. He was distressed, the ewe was distressed, and it was all getting a bit messy. It proved too much for the teachers and children, and they drifted away, with the exception of two 7-year-old girls who stayed till the bitter end. After 15 minutes, he dragged this lamb out backwards, and it lay lifeless in his arms. So, to revive it, he did what he normally does, swing it round by its back legs very quickly, and give it a big smack on the back to shock it into life. And one girl said to the other, "That'll teach it, it'll not run up there again." So, if you ever see a farmer swinging anything round by its back legs, he's just trying to revive it. Thank you.